longer to set up these. Hi everybody, welcome back for another video. Today I'm going to talk about the mag extensions that I talked about recently. There was a lot of interest in alternative strategies to make a Glock 26X, but using these mag extensions. So I showed them to you before. We talked about it. There was a very lively discussion. There was a lot discussed. You know, the real motivation behind all of this is because some people don't like the pinky being loose. They also want more capacity. Some people are just not happy with this size. I personally, my conclusion is that I prefer this size. I'm going to use this for most situations, most carry, unless the weather is such that I need to wear bigger clothing and I have the ability to go with something bigger. But in that case, I might just use my Glock 17. For all intents and purposes, that is a very good firearm for carry if you got heavy winter clothes on. So no problem with that. But the question here is, do you want to really go to something more similar to a real 26X or a Glock 19, something like that? So I took these out to the range for the first time, and that's what I'm going to be talking to you about today. I'm going to show you my shooting, going to give you my experience as I went through with each of these mags, and there are differences in terms of how they feel when you're shooting and how they behave at the range. They have different advantages and disadvantages and things that you just might not think about by trying them at home like this. What feels really good in the hand just at home may or may not be the best for shooting. And so I want to try to explain my rationale on that and take you to the range, and let's talk about it some more. So I did this testing in order. I started first with the stock Glock 26. Very smooth. I love the feel. I have no problem shooting it myself with a good grip, and that pinky being, you know, snugged up underneath the bottom of the mag well. I have no problem shooting it that way. You know, the Glock 26 is relatively new, still shooting well. I had no problem running. I have yet to have any malfunctions, and I don't expect that I will. Now, I wanted to then do a comparison sequentially. I compare it to the +2, and then I compare it to the +5. Now, the +2 is really a classic option. It's simple, it's OEM, it's a small change, and it gives you that boost in capacity of +2. And the thing I like about it is because it is tapered on one end, it's going to conceal very well, as you saw in my previous video. If you haven't seen that, go back and check it out. I tried each of these in a holster, and I tried the draw, and I tested concealability, and it was a very popular video. But in this shooting, I did not have any issues with the +2. It fed very well. It's using the same. It actually does swap out the mag spring to a different mag spring, but it comes from Glock. And I like the +2. I thought it felt very good. And you know, the grip fills out just enough without changing the gun's balance or the footprint. I controlled it as well. You know, whether it's better or not, I don't know. You could say that it might be slightly better, but it keeps that compact profile, which is what the Glock 26 is all about, right? The stock is good. The +2 may be slightly better. Had no issues in this case inserting the mag. There was no shifting in the hand. And it's just a very clean, simple improvement, in my opinion, with that one. And because of that, I actually found myself shooting more shots with the +2 than I did with the stock or with the next one. So it was just that comfortable. I found myself in a groove, and I kept going. So to me, it was the sweet spot in terms of mag extensions and finding exactly what is the best compromise for my use for my hand. Next up was the X grip +5 using a Glock 19 mag, and right up front when I inserted my mag, what I found was it clipped my last two fingers in between the extension and the frame, It's quite uncomfortable, and I'll be showing you that and talking about that more here. But that kind of mag bite was something that I was not expecting. So shooting wise, it was fine. You definitely get to hold on to a little more. But that mag bite, as you can see, I'm holding my hand there. It bit pretty well. But the gun feels a little heavier at the bottom. Nothing major. But the real problem that I found was when you're inserting the magazine. But shooting wise, I was fine. It does feel a little bulkier at the bottom. In terms of controlling recoil, it's not any better than the +2. And so I think if you're comfortable with that little more of a bulky feel down at the bottom, then it certainly will shoot just fine. And at the range, I think this is a good range mag. But I didn't expect the bite. I didn't expect it to bite back like that. So as good as these felt in the hand, when you're putting in that mag, these two fingers right here are in this very dangerous zone. And you can see I got some bite on each finger. And that was just very uncomfortable, and it's not something that you would want to happen. But these two fingers are going to tend to want to hang right in there as you slam that mag in. So as much as I like these mags and they feel once they're in, the reload, that's really something where you can get this bite, and that's something that I didn't particularly like, honestly. So basically, that's why I came to the conclusion that this was the best one for me. I did not have any issues with mag bite here because this was well up under and was not something that would pinch my hand. It gives me a little extra capacity. It's also a Glock OEM part. And I think it's just about as simple of a design as you can get. I mean, I love the X-Grip in theory, but the bulkiness that you have, the bite here on the fingers was uncomfortable, as well as the fact that even though it feels really well, I do feel a sense of a bulkiness down in here that I don't feel with the others. And maybe that's better for some folks. Let me know what you think. Do you think that it's better that it has a little bit more girth down here? Although it's really, I feel it more than I can actually see when I look. But when you compare it to the +2, this is definitely less, and definitely going to print less. There's just so much less on terms of the size here. That's sort of what they're like side by side. That's a fairly substantial difference in size between those two. And this is something that I might use at the range if I just want more capacity, and I can be very careful about reloading, and it's a good option for that purpose. For EDC, I think I would go with something like this if I want any extra capacity, but I don't think you can go wrong with the flush, and so that's really my main squeeze right here.